taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly. Welcome back to another Celtics Talk Weekly pregame live. I am your host, Rob. I am with my two co-hosts, Ian Angelo and Seamus, aka Celtics Every Day. However, we do have a little quick announcement. If you did not see our post on Instagram, Justin, who is also a host here, he does podcasts and on the pre and post game shows. He'll be stepping away for a little bit. He won't be with us for a little bit in the future. We don't really know what the timetable is. However, for the foreseeable future, it'll just be us three. However, we will still be here every single pregame, postgame, right here. Come find us on the Celtics Talk Weekly YouTube channel. As for the Celtics versus Piston ticket giveaway, that will be announced at the postgame show. Right, I don't know when we're going to do it yet. Although, giveaway will be post-game show as announced. However, guys, let's get into it. Boston Celtics 11-10 versus the Philadelphia 76ers, also 11-10. Tip-off at 7:30 at the TD Garden, boys, a rivalry game. Coming into this, like I said, both teams kind of struggling with getting a groove. A lot injuries have a lot to play with that. Joel Embiid and why am I blanking on his name? I'm sorry. Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris have both missed significant time to start this year off with COVID. So, Ian, what is important here for the Celtics coming in tonight to match up well against Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid?
I think it's really important that they need to establish, a defensive presence on Embiid, because it's been, how many years now that Embiid has just torched us? It feels like every single game. So, I know it's easy to talk about when you're sitting here, but they need to find a way to somehow, figure out how to contain Joel Embiid.
Yeah, for sure. And now, on the flip side of things, Seamus, the Celtics have also really struggled to stay healthy. Only 5 games this season with a clean injury report. However, in those 5 games, the teams have kind of struggled to winning and closing out games. So what is important? The Celtics finally have their full rotation, their full roster back tonight active. What is important for the Celtics to do tonight?
Well, we've been talking about this for weeks, and it's finally coming to fruition tonight, and hopefully it continues to come to fruition weeks from now and even throughout this month, and we talked about that as well the other night. The Celtics, they have to gain chemistry and cohesion. They have to gain it while everybody is playing at the same time, and that's just not what we saw with the team last season at all. And this year, we haven't really seen it all. I believe 5 or 6 games we've been fully healthy this year. That's not enough games out of 21 games now to really look at a team and go, okay, this is what we know and this is what we don't know about this team. Because right now, I think this is a 500 ball club right now, the Celtics are. But I think we're a little bit better than that. But our play has suggested we're worse than that possibly. But I want to see everybody healthy. At the same time, we're finally getting to see that tonight. And hopefully it continues throughout this whole month of December, because we're going to need everyone healthy every night. We need to gain some kind of cohesion moving forward.
For sure, a really tough December. It's kind of a very hectic one, and what you call it, Seamus, the gauntlet. So it really is a tough string of games the Celtics have, 15 to 20 games stretch here. However, someone I think we have to talk about tonight, Ian, is Jayson Tatum. Now, historically speaking, throughout his career, Tatum's actually struggled a lot against the Philadelphia 76ers, and a reason for that is a certain man named Ben Simmons. Now, however, if you have been following basketball, you know that Ben Simmons is out tonight. Every night he is sitting out for problems, whatever, not related to this game. But like I said, Tatum has been very inconsistent. He started off in a slump, and then it looked like he was trending up, and he was playing really good basketball, 4 straight 30-point games, and then, a phenomenal game against the Lakers, and then that Nets game hit. In the 2 straight games, he kind of went flat. However, his playmaking looked really good last outing. What is important for Jayson Tatum tonight, Ian, to get going early? How is he going to get hot?
I feel like another reason as to why Jayson Tatum struggled against the 76ers, at least last season, Matisse Thybulle kind of put him in jail last season as well when Ben Simmons wasn't guarding him. So it's going to be really important for Tatum to get a quick start. He's going to have to hit his shots early in the game. And I watched that game against the Raptors, and I mean, yeah, he shot what 2 of 16, but at the same time, he had 10 assists. Like if he can't find his shot early, I feel like he needs to do what he did against the Raptors and just focus on his playmaking. But the most important thing for him is he needs to get into the flow of the offense, like from the jump. So if he can hit his first couple shots and he starts getting hot in the first quarter, I feel like Jason Tatum has the potential to have a really, really big game tonight.
For sure. And an updated injury report, Jaylen Brown is active tonight. Like I said, full team. Ben Simmons is out. Like I said, graphic says soft. A rough showing for Ben Simmons. However, Seamus, another guy to look at here is, Ian said it to start off the show, is the Celtics have really struggled against Joel Embiid for the past 2-3 years. And it kind of seems like ever since Al Horford left, those struggles have kind of started. Last season, we tried to throw Tice and Rob Will at him. Rob Will, obviously, if you remember, fell into foul trouble and couldn't really stick with him. However, Al Horford, has actually had a very successful career against the Philadelphia 76ers, and more importantly, Joel Embiid. What is important tonight for Al Horford in that matchup against Joel Embiid?
Well, he has to stay physical and he has to stay tough down on the post. And we've seen that before from Al Horford. We saw it most notably against Anthony Davis a couple of Fridays ago against the Lakers. If he can have that kind of performance again tonight, I think the Celtics are going to fare better against Joel Embiid. And even if Joel Embiid dominates part of the game, the Celtics want to get out and try to double him and force the ball out of his hands and force other players to make plays. Because if you look at the Sixers roster, they don't really have a primary playmaker. The closest thing to a primary playmaker they have on this roster is probably either Tobias Harris or Tyrese Maxey. And Tobias Harris isn't that great of a passer. So doubling Embiid down in the post, staying physical with him, and obviously not sending him to the foul line either. He shot 56 free throws in 3 games against the Celtics last year, accounting for 47 of his points. 38.3 points per game as well against the Celtics last year for Joel Embiid. That cannot happen tonight on a night where the Celtics, I'm not going to say that this is a must-win or anything like that. Obviously, we're still at the beginning of December, but this is a game you probably have to come out and at least stay competitive in, at least stay until the final buzzer, because this West Coast road trip is tough, and obviously the whole December schedule is tough. So tonight's game, that's going to set the tone for the entire month, whether or not you can stop Embiid and the Sixers.
For sure. And
hang on, Rob. I got one thing from our co-host Justin here. He says Al Horford owns Joel Embiid.
Al Horford. He does.
He does.
I know it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. However, Al Horford has historically played actually very well against Joel Embiid, causing him a lot of trouble. And Giannis, Al Horford is kind of built for these types of matchups. I think this is where Al Horford's true, values are going to show, is in a matchup like this. However, Seamus told us defensively what's so important. Ian, now what's important in this matchup offensively for Al Horford?
Offensively for Al Horford. Well, it's not like we need to, in my opinion, outside of rebounding, which I feel like is the most important thing, offensive rebounding, but we do have Robert Williams for that. But at the same time, I'm not saying Al Horford doesn't need to do anything on the offensive end of the floor, but if he is on Embiid all night and he's focusing on Embiid defensively, I feel like just as long as he's in the flow, like just basically what he normally does, when he, stands at the top of the key for a 3, or when he's just down in the block, doing mid-range and other things like that. So, I feel like it's important for Al Horford just to stay in the flow of the offense. And, hopefully he's not on Embiid when he's backing down someone in the post, or hopefully he can stay and hit his wide open 3s when he's at the top of the key.
For sure. And I actually think hitting his wide open 3s and spacing is a really big key to tonight's game. I think that Horford, the fact that he can stretch the ball, shoot the ball, I don't think the matchup will be Joel Embiid on Al Horford personally. I think they're going to stick him on Robert Williams, keep Embiid in the paint. However, Horford, being able to being a stretch 4, if that matchup does present itself, there's definitely going to be times where Embiid has to be matched up on Horford because that Horford's running the 5. Horford's got to take advantage of the fact that he can really space the floor really well. He can, set picks on the perimeter and sit corner, which really presents a tough defensive challenge for the Sixers, with Embiid being a slower, bigger guy, kind of wants to sit paint and be a rim protector, and Horford kind of makes that harder for Joel Embiid, and I think it's a good opportunity for, Al Horford to do that tonight. However, like I said, both teams 10 and 11. Celtics got their bench back finally. How good is that to say the Celtics have Dennis Schroeder and Josh Richardson? A little homecoming reunion game for Josh Richardson tonight, Seamus. What is important? What do those two need to do off the bench in order to positively contribute to the Celtics tonight?
Well, Josh Richardson, he simply has to do what he's been doing for the Celtics, and obviously missed that 3-game stretch. But now, since coming back, well, he only played one game against Toronto, but in that one game, 18 points, 6 of 11 from the field, super aggressive on both ends of the floor, especially defensively. I think Josh Richardson has been probably one of our more underrated both signings and defenders this season. He's been super energetic on that side of the ball, and that's going to need to continue tonight, because if the Celtics, they come out here, get their defense going early, get some stops, get the crowd into it, that's going to play a huge part in whether or not they can pull out this game, considering how slow the Sixers play. And obviously, I said earlier, lack of a primary playmaker, lack of points throughout the game. So the Celtics, Josh Richardson, he has to come out with energy. Obviously, he's not the defensive leader out there. You guys got Al Horford and Mark Smart, but all those guys have to bring the energy early and just get after it on the defensive end of the ball.
Absolutely, and that brings us to the keys to the game, Ian. Here we are. Start us off. What is your key to the game tonight for the Celtics facing the 76ers?
All right, so I know how we always like play into the meme of the hit the wide open shots thing, but that actually is my key to the game tonight because, I mean, the Celtics have to hit their wide open shots tonight. It is critically important, especially against the 76ers, who are a really good team. They have guys who can, they can get after it on the offensive end of the floor. They got Tyrese Maxey, they got Joel Embiid, they got Tobias Harris. So they have to hit their wide open shots so they can stay in the game, I have a feeling.
Yeah, and I just want to add, piggyback onto that, and this isn't my key to the game, but we're, I believe, 29th in the league in three-point percentage right now.
That's terrible.
I mean, it's absolutely terrible.
Absolutely. Does that count like with the bench players too? Like, like when Pritchard or Neesmith gets like one shot in a game and they miss it?
I believe that's like the whole team in general. So the whole team's percentage. Oop, my bad. My almost knocked down my whole stand here, but yeah. Anyway, my key to the game tonight. Obviously, I kind of said it earlier, and I really mentioned it. Number one, you have to push the pace, and number two, you have to double Joel Embiid. I think those two things are going to be major keys to the game. Whether or not the Celtics can get out and run, get some fast break points. We're bottom 10 in fast break points this year, bottom 10 in points to the paint, bottom 10 in points off of turnovers this year. We have to capitalize in those categories. And number one, stopping Embiid or making other Sixers make plays, and then creating turnovers off that and converting off of those turnovers, and converting off of those missed opportunities for them, and capitalizing on our extra opportunities. That's going to be a huge key in any game, but especially tonight against this Philadelphia 76ers team.
For sure. And, my key to the game, I'm going to say, is attack the paint really strong. And the reason I say this is because, Joel Embiid's going to be in there 95% of the time standing in the paint. And, obviously Andre Drummond too. But, if the Celtics want to win this game, a way they can do that is getting Joel Embiid into foul trouble, because the more fouls and the more, more fouls he has, the less aggressive he can be on the offensive end, and the more he'll settle for those long-range jumpers that, we've seen him do so often. So, if I'm the Celtics, you got to put your head down. You got to get contact in the paint, get Embiid into foul trouble, and I think that will really start to open up the game for the Celtics tonight. And that does bring us to the over-unders, guys. Over-under. This is a primetime game. Believe it or not, actually, I believe we will have 15. I got to look at the schedule. This month, there will be 14 out of the 15 games will be considered a bonus game. Just think about that. If you want a sense of how hard this schedule is, the only game that's not is that Cavaliers game. That's not on December 22nd. That's not a bonus game. Every other game is a prime time, aka bonus.
Even if imagine the Cavs being ahead of us in the standings, would that consider it being a prime time game?
No, I don't think Cleveland's it's a home game against Cleveland should be a very winnable. No, they're pretty banged up right now. However, the first over-under I'm going to hit on here is a player that we really haven't had in over-under for quite some time now, due to the fact that he's kind of been so injured. Jaylen Brown here. Brown's started off the season averaging 25 points per game, and now he's kind of dropped down to 22. He's kind of trying to find his rhythm. Is Jaylen Brown going to go over or under 21.5 points tonight?
Ooh. 21.5 for him, like, at least since he's been back. I can't remember. How many did he have against the Raptors?
I believe he only had, well, actually, I can just say it. But yeah, he had 16. So since he's been back, he's had 19, 13, 16, and 16 after the 8-game absence. And right before that absence in Miami, well, he only played half that game technically. He had 17. So he hasn't scored over 21 points since November 3rd. It's been nearly a month since we've seen Jaylen Brown score over 20 points in a basketball game. I think this is the night. 21.5. Take me with the over.
All right. I love Jaylen Brown. I hope he gets the over. I'm going to take the under tonight. I feel like, someone's going to have to guard him, whether it's Thibault or Tyrese Maxey. And I mean, Maxey isn't the greatest defender, but I feel like Thibault might be on Jaylen Brown a little bit tonight. So I feel like that might hamper his abilities a little bit. So I have him going under.
I'm going to take the over. I'm going to join Seamus. The reason I'm going to take the over is I think Jayson Tatum has kind of cracked that barrier of, I'm guessing, based off last game, he looks really engaged in the passing and the offense of how that works. I think that's something that he's kind of started to figure out. I hope so, at least. And I think a lot of defensive attention is going to go towards Jayson Tatum and not Jaylen Brown. If they were to have Ben Simmons, I'd say under, because they can have Simmons and Thibault matched up on Brown and Tatum. However, who are you going to throw on Brown? Danny Green's a solid defender, kind of old. Maxey's too small and is really not a great perimeter defender. Tobias Harris, a known poor defender, it's not really the strength in this game. So I'm going to take the over. I think Brown's going to give us 22 or more tonight. I think it's a great time for him to get.
I know. Watch me say the under, and he drops like 40 tonight.
This is also something to note as well. Before the hamstring injury, Jaylen Brown was averaging 36.5 minutes per game, and when he came back, he was on a 24-minute restriction. Yeah. However, since he's been back, he's played 25.3 minutes per game. And today, I believe Ime Udoka said he'll up that to 8 minutes. He'll add 8 minutes to his restriction. So he's supposed to be playing around 30, 32 minutes tonight. That probably plays a little bit more of a factor, too, in whether or not he can get his points tonight.
For sure. And someone else we've really seen kind of take control of this offense is Marcus Smart. I mean, he has been absolutely amazing in the playmaking category. We did this one last segment as well, and we're going to do it again because I think, Smart really is a key to the Celtics' success. Marcus Smart, is he going over or is he going under 6.5 assists tonight, guys?
He burned me on this one last time.
He had 6.
He got 6 last game.
Yeah, he had 6.
And it was 6.5. Oof. Well, against the Sixers team, I said Jaylen Brown's getting over 20 points. I think this is the perfect game. It's December 1st against the Sixers. I'm going to guarantee a win tonight. We're going to beat the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh,
tonight.
God.
Oh, my God.
There it is.
Over 6.5 assists. We're scoring a ton of points tonight. We're beating the Sixers. Mark it down. There's no trend that says that we're supposed to beat the Sixers, but mark it down. I'm 5-2. I'm feeling good.
You're taking the over?
Yes.
I'm going the under just because Smart's going to get 6 assists. That's just what he's going to do, and I know it.
All right. I think I'm going to take the over as well, just because I have a feeling Marcus Smart is going to have a lot of opportunities to pass tonight. So, and now he has all of his playmaker. He has all of his guys back. We got Schroeder, Richardson, Grant off the bench. Langford, Neesmith. We got all of them back, all healthy for the first time in God knows how long. So I'm taking the over tonight.
So this next one is I got to check something really quick. Okay, so Celtics, like I said, have not been healthy at all. They are healthy tonight. That means their bench is in full strength. The Sixers bench isn't necessarily known super deep. However, they have Shake Milton, Matisse Thybulle, Andre Drummond, 3 guys that can really get it going. Also, Frank Korkmaz, so they do have some decent scoring off the bench. Korkmaz and Milton both averaging 10 points a game. Drummond averaging 7 and 11. So does the Boston Celtics bench outscore the Sixers bench tonight? So over would be outscore, under would not be outscore.
I'm gonna go. I've already dove deep. We have to outscore them tonight.
He's going with the under or the over.
Score a bunch of points. We'll have to go. We'll have to go. Celtics bench wins tonight.
All right, I think. Ooh, because that's tough. Because Korkmaz always seems to kill us every single time we play him.
Even in the summer league.
Even in the summer league, he kills us. So I think I think I'm still gonna take the over. We have everyone back. We have Schroeder. We have Richardson. Like I said before, I'm taking the over.
Yeah, I'm joining you guys. Schroeder's back. Richardson's back. Grant. Let's talk about Grant real quick. 50, 40, 90 club.
Go.
He's actually been really, really good for us. Like I said, he's been better on the bench or starting. He is back to the bench. He's kind of struggled off the bench this season for some reason. I don't know why. So I think, Grant's going to give us some work. I'm taking the over. Schroeder, Richardson, those are two guys. I think Langford has a big night tonight as well. So I'm taking the over. And this last one, this bonus one is... we've seen Cantor start to come off the bench now. Robert Williams inserted back in the lineup. However, the Sixers have two traditional big men back to the basket, rebounding block shots, and Drummond and Joel Embiid. Do the Celtics win the rebounding battle tonight?
We're facing.
I'm saying.
I don't know. Embiid kills us on the boards. Feels like every time we go against him. And I know they have Drummond too. Drummond tends to kill us as well on the boards if he plays tonight, which he could potentially. Say we do throw in a Grant Williams lineup. Maybe that's the Andre Drummond calling card. If that comes up, I'm going to have to go. We don't win the rebounding battle, which doesn't really support my other arguments whatsoever. But I just
who said you need to win game? Who said you need to win the rebound battle to win a game? Right.
Well, sometimes
no, you do. No, you should.
But if we can keep it close, we're going to be fine. It's just whether or not. I think it's going to be close. I just don't think we're going to have the advantage near the end of the night. We might be, down 3 rebounds. I don't know. I'm going.
Yeah. Under. Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go under. I think Joel Embiid always kills us when it comes to rebounding. They have Andre Drummond. He's an insane. Basically, all he's known for is rebounding at this point. So, I think we lose the rebounding battle tonight.
I'm on the fence. I am, because the Celtics are second in the Eastern Conference in rebounding, and the Philadelphia 76ers sit dead last in the Eastern Conference at rebounding.
Well, granted, they didn't have Embiid for most of the season, though.
Yeah. However, the Celtics have had many games without Robert Williams, have had many games without Al Horford. So I'm taking the over, because I think between Cantor, Horford, and Williams and Tatum's an underrated rebounder, I think. I mean, he's almost averaging 9 on the season, I believe.
He's such a good rebounder.
Yeah, so I'm taking the over, because I do think that we win the rebounding battle. I did take 3 overs. Tatum averaging 8.5. I mean, Celtics, great rebounding team, second in the East, 4th in the NBA for team rebounding. So that's been a strength for them, and I think they stick to that strength at home tonight. Guys, we are coming up closer to game time. Before we close out here, what would you say is one thing that you want to see the Celtics transfer over from last night's game into tonight's game?
No. Go ahead, Ian. Go ahead.
I don't know. I want to say I think I want to see the passing again. I want to see Jason Tatum with those 10 assists again. I want to see Marcus Smart with 6 assists. I want to see the ball moving again tonight. That's a big thing I want to see the Celtics do tonight.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing that we saw last game, the game overall wasn't that great for the Celtics, but obviously Ian just said Jason Tatum's passing game, but also the team's ability to, number one, start strong. They didn't start that strong the other night, but by the end of the first quarter, they led, which is good. You'd like to see that progression. And then obviously finishing the game, they absolutely blew out the Raptors in the fourth quarter the other night and finished that game off. handedly, and that's exactly what you want to see out of the Celtics. Those have been their two problem areas closing out games in both starting games this year, as well as just starting and ending quarters. But you'd like to see that carry over from last game. And also, add an extra thing here, the 50-40-90 club is meeting up on one court tonight. Seth Curry and Grant Williams. So who knows? Just a flame show out of Grant Williams. It's going to be great.
Well, something I'm looking to see is actually, you kind of took it right out of my mouth, Seamus. I was going to say, fourth quarter, you got to have a strong fourth quarter against really this entire December stretch. You have to have a solid fourth quarter. But tonight, more importantly, I'll say that you got to play through JAYSON Tatum in the fourth quarter. And the Celtics did exactly that. Like I said, Tatum did not shoot the ball well by any means. He actually shot the ball very poorly. However, he still had a good game because of his playmaking, and that was a majority due to his fourth quarter performance. I think when you put the ball in Tatum's hands, all the defenders' eyes go directly towards him. I think you're putting the players around him in a successful position when he does have the ball in his hands. If he's looking to make that pass, which if he's tonight looking to make that pass, you can have a very successful fourth quarter. That's what I'm looking for the Celtics to carry over. Boston Celtics versus Toronto Raptors set to tip off in just a minute, guys.
First to Raptors?
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the game score on the phone. Philadelphia 76ers at home. Guys, before we close off here, what is last remarks before tip off?
1 week from tonight. Oh, wait. Is it what? Nope. Never mind. I have no idea what day it is anymore. I thought it was Monday. I was just going to shout out the Patriots real quick, but I guess we only have to wait 6 days now to beat the Bills.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's
I thought it was a week. Or wait, 5 days. I have no idea the days. Soon we will beat the Bills twice in a month. 20 days.
Definitely.
Big one. That's a big one. Well, let's start off.
Pats.
You saw the Pats partake in. What's up?
Oh no, I was just gonna say my thing, but you can.
Okay, so I said the Pats partake in no loss November along with the Phoenix Suns. So let's start the trend of no loss December here tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers.
Yes.
For sure. I want to give a quick shout out to Justin. Hope you're doing okay, bro. Can't wait to see you come back.
For sure.
And let's go Celtics.
Right. Celtics versus Sixers, not Raptors. Tip off at 7:30. Actually, just a couple minutes here. It's a national televised game, so they're probably going to take it off some time. Guys, come back here for the giveaway post-game show. Come in, share your thoughts. It's a fun show. We hope to see a lot of you here. However, go Celtics.